Welcome to the Good Grief podcast, where we are navigating grief with grace, reflection, impact, empowerment, and faith. We are your hosts, Camille Aiko, and,
And Erico.
and this is a space for real conversation, hope, and healing. So, whether you're grieving the love of a lost one, just grieving a hard transition in life, or maybe you're just trying to find your way, this is a place for you to help you move forward and for us to walk this journey together. So, last week we discussed the G of the grief framework, which is give yourself grace. And we talked about how it's okay to not be okay and to honestly allow yourself to feel what you're feeling and be in that space. And so this week we are moving on to the R, which is reflection. And really just allowing, are you saying something?
I said R.
Oh, okay. Um, so just reflection of being able to reflect on either a loved one or a time that you are just grieving in your life, maybe a past time in your life, without getting stuck there. And this is important because a lot of times in our reflections, we can just get so caught up in that thought that it doesn't allow us to push forward, but we're feeling like we're being sunken in this place of memory and with no hope of going forward. So that's kind of what we're going to be talking about tonight. And this doesn't matter what stage of grief that you're in. You're always going to have memories. You're always going to have these reflections. But now, what is the proper way to reflect so that you can move forward, so that you can feel like, okay, I'm still progressing even though I'm in this grief journey. Erica, do you have anything that you wanted to add to that?
No.
All right.
No,
So,
this time.
okay. So just let us know in the comments, guys, what's a favorite memory you have of someone or a time in your life that you missed? What's a favorite memory that you have of someone or a time in your life that you miss? We're looking forward. Hopefully, I can see your comments. If not, Erica, hopefully you can check the comments.
Yeah.
But go ahead. We'll give you all a minute just to share and
While
to
you all are
comment.
talking
Erica, is there anything,
I
a
was gonna
memory, a favorite
say,
memory that you have?
um, when our grandparents used to come to Baltimore when we lived there, and we got some one-on-one times. I remember how our grandma would like scare us when we would go downstairs into the basement, um, knocking my forehead on my grandfather's forehead, and me being ready to be passed out, and he sat there like nothing fazed him. Um, just spending like really good time with them, and not necessarily the South part of them visiting, but
Definitely not the South.
God, that's still terrible even to this day. Um, like, or us baking peanuts when he would come, all of those things. So that's like a favorite memory that I have that I wish I could go back to. Um, One, I was in Baltimore. Check. Two, I was with my grandparents. Triple check. I only say triple because that's how amazing it was. Um, and Anne-Marie says, just being in the presence of my grandmother. Yep. And her hugs, talks, and studying the Bible. Yep, that's amazing. I feel like our grandparents played a vital part in our lives. And I know your grandmother definitely played a vital part in your life.
And
So.
mine. She was very sweet. That was my girl. transitions can feel like loss, and that's okay. It's normal. And I think that's one of the important things that we have to understand, those of us here in this group, is that what we're feeling, what we're experiencing, it's okay. And it's normal. We have to stop thinking we're crazy, stop thinking we're the only ones feeling this way. We're not. We're not. And that's why we're all here together to be able to walk this journey together. And it's normal to miss what you used to be or the life you once had. That is normal. So have you ever had, Erico, a memory that hit you unexpectedly, and how did you deal with it? And if you all have had, if you're on here listening, if you've had an unexpected memory just kind of hit you and you had some type of reaction to it, how did you handle it?
Um, like we said, it's not just in loss.
Yeah.
Definitely when I'll say my firstborn went off to college, that was a transition because, you know, I was a young mom. So we technically kind of grew up together in the sense as I was raising him, but as he was learning life, I was still learning life.
Yeah.
And I just remember like on the way home, I was already sobbing, but I just remember like going into his room once we got back, and it just made me think of all the times of waking him up. I know that sounds crazy because that kid can sleep through anything. And I was just like sobbing even harder because I'm like, I won't have to wake him up anymore. And it's like, it's a transition. Like, and I'm
Yeah.
not necessarily an empty nester, but even the same thing with my second son going off to college. That's tough when you start losing your kids to, and I don't want to say losing, but I feel like that's essentially what's happened to me. Like I lost my kids
Hmm.
because they're now growing up, which is what the ultimate goal is, but that doesn't make it any less triggering for
Yeah.
me. I'll hear like a stupid, sorry, my dogs are barking, so I'm gonna mute
That's going to be great for the replay. But yeah, definitely. And even though your children aren't my children, I've shared this before of when I got married and moved out to LA. I experienced that grief of being away from my family, from my nieces and nephews, because we would spend every Sunday together. I would take them to aunties and go to the park, and those are core memories that we created in the bond, a big part of the bond that I shared with them. And so transitioning from, even though you're going into marriage's next beautiful phase of life, you can still feel that grief from from things that you once had but are no longer going to have. Um, so I think these are important things that even as we're dealing with grief, we have to understand what it is and to be able to identify it and then express ourselves properly. These things, when they go unrecognized, when they go unacknowledged, oftentimes can cause different trauma in our lives, and we don't get it. We don't know how to identify it. And this is why we want to bring this into conversation, because we have to learn how to deal with what we're dealing with. And grief comes in different shapes, sizes, looks, and it's important for us. So, how do we reflect without falling into despair? See, remembering a loved one or a past season of life doesn't mean you're stuck. Just because you think of somebody, you don't have to apologize to. I want to say that before I move on to this next point. Is please stop apologizing. If you're talking about someone that has transitioned in life, if you're talking about a different season in your life, stop apologizing for having a memory about it and wanting to talk about it. And it's actually healthy to do that. And what it really means is that their impact is still alive with you. that situation that you experienced is still meaningful to you, and there's lessons out of that. So maybe there is a more constructive way that maybe you can talk about some of the things that you're talking about. But if you're still bringing up in conversation, you're still talking about the people who have transitioned, then it's so important that you find the constructive ways to talk about them and bring them up in conversations and stop apologizing about it, because when you suppress it or you don't talk about it or you're only talking negative about certain things, then that gets you stuck. Erica, are you back?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. So reflection is a tool for healing. It's not a sign of regression. Just because you talk about your grandparents, because you talk about your parents, because you talked about that loved one, that doesn't mean that you aren't healing. It means that the importance, the role that they played and the paper bag, I feel like it always broke, at least most times anyway, and a can would go rolling down the street. And of course, this was in the time before cell phones, so we couldn't just call someone and be like, hey, can you bring the keys and all of this? Um, but during that time, honestly, it was just that bonding. That's how it shaped me. It shaped me to be like, you know what, I can carry hard things. And
That's what
even
it
what,
you said you could carry hard things.
carry hard things, figuratively, and what's the other word? Non-figuratively.
Okay.
That's
Whatever
not the
word.
word. I just can't think of it. But in actuality, it's
Yeah.
figuratively, but it's still not the word that I'm thinking of. But I just hold those memories close to me because it was just me and mom.
Yeah.
It was me and her, and those are the kinds of things that I could always count on.
And
Anne Marie says my gratitude increased personal growth. Love that. Yeah.
yeah, I
Erica, you
think
want to share anything?
mine would I'll share with my mom, just learning how to be a mom. You know,
Hmm.
I feel like we had such a great mom. At the same time, I think I learned how to parent my kids. I also learned that whatever you do to your parents comes back 10 times more.
Tenfold.
I apologized to mom multiple times and dad and asked them whatever curse I had done, take it off. But no, literally, oh, here they go again. Um,
Don't
yeah, I would
they
just say,
know that we are recording? No, I'm kidding.
no, they don't. I'm sorry, you all. I have two huge Great Danes and a Cane Corso, and we have guests over here. They're like new people, even though it was the same. So sorry, I apologize. Um, but yeah, I definitely just feel like Rhonda said I'm going to comment on both my parents. My mom used to come up and cook for our annual Soul Food Fest at NKU right before Thanksgiving, and ever since I've loved preparing big meals around the holidays. Let's see, she's got more
Yeah,
to say.
click see more.
Yep. With my dad, every time I would go see him, he would want me to get him some shredded wheat cereal or get him some Junior Mints at the same Dollar Tree, even if it was out the way. Oh yeah, definitely. I love that. I
Yeah, I
love those
like
memories.
we.
Shredded wheat cereal. I've never had that.
Yeah,
I probably won't
yeah, these
try.
have shredded wheat.
I don't know what that tastes like.
Yeah,
Probably
you
like
do.
house. Uh,
Nothing like South.
I am.
Anyway,
Okay, sorry. All right. So we're gonna say shifting reflection from pain to gratitude. I don't know. Did it? It shaped me. That's all I gotta say. A lot
well, I
about my
mean that's kind of the thing, and I think Anne Marie said it great. She said her gratitude increased. And so when we can take those, sometimes the memories of feeling like, oh, I don't have that anymore, right? We can think about something and be like, um, for instance, my mother would sit and watch NCIS. And now it's like that pain is I can never watch NCIS again because my mother's not here to watch it with me. And so that opportunity is lost. But
Oh yeah.
gratitude can say, I can continue to watch it and enjoy it for her, right? And so being able to shift reflection from pain to gratitude, pain says it's gone. It's never coming back. That part of my life is over. I'm doomed. I'll never be whole. But gratitude says it's those moments that I can appreciate. It's those moments that I realize my mother was helping me to raise my children. It's those moments that I was reflected on that shaped me. It was those moments that have allowed me to become the woman that I am today. And that is the importance and the slight shift that we have to make in reflection that allows us not to get stuck. It's the making the shift from it's gone to it shaped me. That, oh my gosh, I'll never experience that again, to it taught me. And when we
Yeah.
begin to think of that, then that allows us not to just keep going lower and lower and lower in the sadness of not having that person or being in that place in our life anymore. Wow, what a good way to switch mindset.
Yeah, true.
Thanks, Aaron. But go
I
ahead,
think
Erica.
about the soup. Our mom used to make soups out of everything. It was like a Friday night special. Everything that was left over was in a soup. And that kind of taught me. So now I'm like, I don't get to make those soups, but in all actuality, I don't make leftover soup, by the way. But I do, like, I learned how to kind of be like, yes, let me just gather these items. I've learned to, kind of switch up, come up with some
Right.
random odd
Be
meals.
creative.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Because at first I was like, I never want to eat. She used to make that famous beef stew or vegetable soup. And
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I'm never going to make that again. But then once I said I was making it and you were like, I don't have the recipe. Oh, that mindset was like, I'm the only one who knows how. How did you know?
Womp, womp, womp. But no, though, and those are the important things. So what if we just change the way, everybody, that we looked at simply remembering?
But I also
And
don't, it's hard. It's
yeah,
not as
it is.
easy. It's like a process.
It is. I would say though, but that's why it's not only just a process, but we have to be intentional about it. Because
Yep.
even when I think about things like with mom, she stopped cooking a long time ago. So even though she's gone now and it's kind of like we'll never have those soups again,
We
the
haven't
truth
had them
is
for a
we haven't
while.
had those soups in quite some time, in years.
Yeah.
And mom got to a point that she stopped cooking. And I was so grateful when she did, because
When she made that ramen noodle
her
spaghetti.
final meals of cooking was like mystery and stuff that was like in the back of the refrigerator that probably needed to be thrown away and not served on the dinner table. And me and dad would just be looking at each other like, what do we do? You gonna
The
you
best
gonna
was the
sit
ramen noodle
like if everybody
spaghetti.
just sits here long enough and don't complain, then we'll be able to throw away the food shortly and we'll find something to eat later. And those are honestly some of the last meals that I had of hers. You know what I mean? And so I think that's why it's important for us to be just intentional about those thought processes, because we can be holding on to something that wasn't even recent or didn't exist in our near past.
Yeah.
Um, and so if we switch it from longing from the past to doing like what you're doing, like, oh, okay, um, mom used to make this all types of soups. Now I got the recipe. I can teach this to my kids. They can carry that on. So we use those memories to inspire us to how we live today. And yeah, it takes us to be intentional. It takes us to be mindful, because the mind can take us wherever
Oh yeah,
that it wants
it
us to
can.
go.
And so
Mhm.
as we're saying that, it's just wild. So I was thinking, as I said that I make meals to keep um mom soup, mentality, leftover mentality in mind, practical ways on how to honor one of your loved ones or life transition, healthy ways, because I said it's hard sometimes.
Mhm.
But healthy ways could be like, writing a letter. How, last week we had mentioned journaling.
Yeah.
Writing a letter to, you can even, I would say you could even, if you had cancer, you could write a letter to cancer, like, Dear Cancer, these are the things that you took from me, but this is what I gained from you. This is what I learned about myself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I learned that I'm stronger. I
Mhm.
learned, that I still can have a positive outlook. You know, you can write to your loved ones and just say, hey, you know, I know you're not here, but I want to let you know, like, I'm doing okay. I'm doing great. And just kind of write them a letter. Let them know how you're doing, how your kids are doing, how life is going.
Like I can be like, dear mom, I forgive you for locking us out of the car. I learned that I'm stronger.
Is that what you learn?
I
Or
can,
you learn to get a tag, a key tag? I think that's what you learn. I won't
why,
judge, you know.
why do you think I
Um,
like walking now?
yeah, such a walker. Storytelling. I our mom was the best storyteller. She could tell a story even if she hadn't been there. But I think about even dad, like he talks about his grandfather. And
I'm sure you have yours on.
yep, I do.
But so this is the
Mine.
necklace urn that has some of my mother's ashes in it and air coals as well. So, you know, we wear these and just she feels closer just to know
Yeah.
that there is a little piece.
Yeah. Yeah. Like when I am having a moment, like I was having a moment, I grabbed mine kind of like this and
Yeah.
just kind of rubbed it in between my hands. And I'm like, Mom, I just need you to get me through this, Mom. Um, you know, I just not necessarily thinking that she could hear me, but for me, it was comforting. I'm like, oh my God, Mom, okay, I know you're with me. Got you right here. So definitely, I hate that I have this necklace, but I love that I have this necklace um, for that. And
Yeah.
another one is living out their legacy.
Wait, before
Continue.
you go on, where are
Oh,
some of the
okay.
places that you get some of the things made that Erica's very creative. She's the artsy, crafty
I
one.
love
Um,
arts and crafts.
but where
I've
do you
gotten,
just in case somebody wants to go and check out where you kind of like get your blanket or
yeah,
um,
like so I've done a blanket. And so before I even do that, I got this up clearly. If your loved one is gone, you can't do this unless you have a voicemail. It was a couple Christmases before my mom passed. I had gotten this idea when my dad had COVID, and the lady was like, "Well, do you all have a voice recording?" You know, made this CD for my dad, and I thought to myself, how clever that would be if we had something like that of our parents' voices. So I did like each of my parents recorded a message for my siblings and myself. And my mom, of course, has one, and she created one for my dad. And I thought ahead and had her create one for my husband and my kids. So this Christmas, I gave my kids and my husband their Build-A-Bear. So I went to Build-A-Bear and had the recorded message. It's in the Paul. Um, Babe, can you bring me yours? Can you bring me your Build-A-Bear, please? Sorry, I just want to show you all. But we did Build-A-Bear, recorded the voice, and that has comforted me. I've done like Walgreens picture albums. My dad has so many picture albums, but they're books that you can leave on the coffee stand, Etsy. Can you bring it here? So this is the one we got made for my husband, and I'll play it.
Steve, it's Mom. Just wanted to say hey and let you know I love you and your family. It has been a joy to me. So you take good care of them, please. Continue to take good care of them. Thank you so much. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.
So all my siblings have one of these. All my kids have one. Of course, I do. My dad has it, and he plays it consistently, so much so I had to get a new battery for it. But I suggest if you do that, record it on your phone and keep the recording, so if the battery dies, you can do that. So that's kind of where I get a lot of my stuff from. Walgreens has been my friend, so if you don't have a Walgreens, like CVS, Walmart, etc., yeah, those are where I get them from.
I know, Erin. Hearing her voice made me tear up a little bit. Lost over. Yeah, those are great. So Erico is good for coming up with little ideas. We had we got a snippet of her hair, and there you can keep like locks of their hair. And then one more before we move on, because I know we're kind of, well, not that we necessarily had a cutoff time, but our aunt, she actually surprised us, but she had us get a fingerprint, my mother's fingerprint. And there's actually a company that turned the fingerprint into a keychain. So we have my mother's fingerprint on a keychain that we can carry around with us as well. So we have just little different things that it's a way for us to intentionally remember my mother. Everywhere we kind of turn, there's a glimpse of her, there's a piece of her, there's a memory of her there with us.
So yeah, like you say, we are we had so many flukes today. I don't want to run through it, but living out their legacy is important. Continue a tradition they loved. My mom was huge at Christmas. She was huge with toothbrushes and toothpaste and all the things. And I know that sounds crazy, but I love my toothbrush and toothpaste so much so that I think we were offended one year that we didn't get it. Using what you learn from them in a new way, I think that as I continue to carry on the traditions that we had as kids, I'm doing that here at my own home. Kind of starting traditions, like we do a big family trip, one for a week, just to try to reconnect. I love that tradition. We also used to travel with our parents. So again, my mom loved that, and she's one of the reasons we got our Westgate Resort. She is the reason we got the Westgate Resort, and being able to use that, reframing their story, instead of saying that was the best.
Reframing your story.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So instead of saying that was the best time of my life, say that that was a beautiful season that prepared me for what was next. And I'm not going to say that was the best time of my life, caring for my mom these past, my mom and even my dad these past 4 years, but it was a beautiful season. And I told somebody I would do it over and over and over again, even if I got the same results. But it's prepared me to actually be able to actually get on here, this Good Grief group, and help others to push past the negative grief and see the good grief, how to deal with it. And so like I said, I won't say it was the best time, but it definitely got me. It was beautiful, hands down. From, every time she's fussing us out or she can't remember, or, going to appointments with my dad, that's allowed me to be prepared and be able to help my in-laws as well. So it prepared me for this this next season of my life, whatever it actually ends up being. But as I go through it, it's helping. So,
Yeah. Anne Marie says, before my mom passed away, she let me record her while singing to my daughter. She was 6 months at the time. I'm taking your idea for the Build-A-Bear. Oh, that'd be beautiful.
You will love it. And like I say, like, get a couple, make sure you have it. And Build-A-Bear will
And it is important that we're really being able to identify. Sorry, somebody was calling me. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
The difference between grief and being stuck. So it's okay to miss someone, it's or a season in your life, and it's also okay to seek help when grief starts affecting daily life, where you just want to stay in your bed with your cover over your head in a dark room and listen to sad music and all of those things. Um, that's when we want to start saying, okay, maybe, just maybe, I need a little help. So feeling emotionally paralyzed for long periods, avoiding places, conversations, or anything that reminds you of them, intense guilt, regret, or self-blame. These are all signs that you're not just grieving, but you're allowing it to affect you and impact you. And so you shouldn't, these guilt and the self-blame and the regret, remember we talked about last week that you have to give yourself grace. So if you're feeling stuck in these intense emotions that are just like there with you all the time, get some help. And you don't have to carry grief alone. Remember that. Everybody, you don't have to carry grief alone. Whether it's coming here every week seeking therapy, going to support groups, faith-based counseling, all can be powerful resources to help you work through this grief. So
Go to,
make
and
sure
I
that you
just,
know the difference between grief and being stuck.
yeah, I went to a counselor. I didn't go back, but I went. Um, I feel like if I'd gone back, maybe I would have progressed a little bit differently. But I just felt like I was talking to myself a lot, and I was like, "You're just sitting here." So the reason I say that I did have a point to it was go seek out the right people for you, though.
Right.
Like she
Yeah.
said, faith-based counseling. And even if it is just talking to, it doesn't have to necessarily be your pastor that you're talking to. Maybe it's somebody, a minister or a deacon or somebody that you feel like won't judge your grief or won't judge how you're processing that. But outside therapy is not bad. She just wasn't the counselor for me. She made
But
me think.
I think sometimes we have to understand that they're not always going to give us. I think we want advice, we want practical tips, tools, techniques, and a lot of times grief counselors, they're just there to listen. It's like
Right.
talk. They'll ask you a question and then you talk.
Yeah.
And so
Which is why
we
I'm
also have
saying
to
she
know
just
what
wasn't
kind
for
of
me.
counselor we're going to and then set the expectations for what you expect to get out of it. And then, like you're saying, if it's not the one for you, then it's okay to switch until you
Yeah.
find the right one,
Someone
if
right,
that's the
yeah,
route you
right
decide
person
to
for you.
go.
Yeah. And again, surround yourself with your people. And when I say your people, I mean the people that are going to listen to you, care for you, just all those things. So it's just, that would be my piece on that. Um, so we've been, since last week, we talked about, writing in our journal. I'm not sure if everybody was able to journal last week, but I would suggest that sometime, prompt, you know, right, or it could be the letter that we were saying to write to your loved one or the lost situation that you had, like, dear so and so, whatever, journal, write letters, and I don't
Yeah,
know.
favorite memory, either of a loved one or a time in your life that you missed. So, and if you want, feel free, guys, to just share in the comments one of those
Amber,
moments, one of those memories.
she said she started to isolate and she hasn't been back to New York since her mom passed away. That's tough, Erin, because first, let me go back to Andy's comment. That's tough not going back to New York because I know you have lots of loved ones and family there. But isolating probably is not the best thing. I found that to be true. And like Camille said, I realized life was going on like all around me. And I was like, oh, my kids are still needing something to eat, huh? Yikes, gotta get up. So I had to
Mhm.
keep pushing. But Aaron was saying that a good brain dump always works for me. Uh, how do you do a brain dump? Explain that one to me, because I
That's
need to brain dump
just
after every
anything
interview
that
day.
comes to mind, you put it down.
Oh yeah, well,
All your
every day after work.
thoughts, all your ideas, no judgment. You just kind of put down everything you're feeling, everything you're thinking, and just get it out.
I love that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna brain dump every day.
That it's a good healthy way to release. Faux
Mhm.
show, faux show.
Okay. So, we keep talking about, you know, carrying your loved one with us. Camille and I hopefully will have these snazzy new shirts soon. Um, and you just want to carry your loved one with you sometimes. So you know how we're carrying our mom in our necklace, we're carrying her by pin. The shirts are going to say, I carry their love, not just their loss. Um, so clearly I love that shirt. I love that saying because I want people to know, like, I'm carrying my mom's love, and some of you are getting grace because of my mom's love, because she taught me to love people in spite of despite how they treat you, whatever. So that's how I continue to carry her love and her memory. um, Even though she's not here, I know that she's proud of me, so I'm carrying her love, not just her loss. So if you would like to get a shirt like that, to carry your loved one's, memory on your shirt. You don't have to have their name. Ours won't. Feel free. Let us know. We've got a couple shirts that we're going to be trying to market, just because we know that people say, hey, where'd you get that shirt from? You'll know. You can get them from Camille and I. So I just, it's just a daily reminder that their love never fades. The love that you have for them is never going to go away, ever. You know, even in anticipatory grief, the changes that you're seeing, you're anticipating, like, oh my goodness, is this it? You're still technically at a loss, but know that you still need to carry on their love. So just remember that. Continue to love your loved ones that you've lost. Don't let their stories fade out, because their stories are important to your future. They're important to your kids' future. I want my kids to know all about my mom. I know they do, but I want them to know her so well that when they have kids, they'll continue to carry the love and honor who she was to me, to them, to my siblings, and to my dad. So,
Yeah, and I think just even in our family, as you were saying that we haven't talked about my mom's mother, but she was Okinawan, and so we all of us hold a space for our Japanese culture because of our grandmother. So even my nieces and nephews, there's a sense of pride knowing that our grandmother was and their great grandmother was Okinawan, and we have kimonos and we have special Asian trinkets and things that represent our loved ones and just carrying their memories. And just know that no matter what phase you're in this grief cycle, this grief journey, should I say, that these are things that you can implement. And so whether you're sad or whether you're angry or whether you're whatever one of those other stages are that I can't think of, but you might be happy, right? It is important to take these memories and really dissect, okay, well, if I'm feeling angry right now, why am I feeling angry? What can I take from this? How can I shift my mindset? Sorry, everybody wants to call me right now. How can I shift my mindset from taking this anger and turning it into a lesson? We talked
mhm.
about how to take that pain and shift it to what have you gained, right? So from pain to gain. Okay, I'm angry, or I don't necessarily like this memory that pops up, but what has that taught me? For instance, we can sit here and talk about all the good things for our mother, but there was a season in her life when she lost her mother that she was very upset, very angry, and it was tough to get along with her sometimes because